Hey guys, my name is Matimo, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formats out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Bag & Buns, and it is, what do you think of an attacking operator in Rainbow Six Siege that is silent when running and taking down barriers? The more I think about this, the more I realize that this operator would be incredibly powerful in Rainbow Six Siege. I don't want to go as far to say that he'd be borderline overpowered, but in most situations, and definitely in the right hands, if someone knows what they're doing, this guy would be a nightmare to fight against. You never know where he's going to hit you from. I can think of a lot of situations where you're in a room, you're listening for someone to breach on your left, you don't hear anything on the left, all of a sudden the window's open, and he has a clear line of sight on someone who just doesn't know that you're there because they didn't hear the barrier fall. You are constantly listening to your audio in Rainbow Six Siege. You're listening for footsteps, you're listening for barricades to fall so that you know where the offensive team is coming from. If you don't have those audio cues and you're just left with someone who all of a sudden ghosts around the map completely silently, that is a massive advantage for the offensive team. This guy sounds like he would always get the drop on the enemy as long as he's playing the map appropriately. Unless he's playing on a map like Plane, for example, where things are very linear, he's going to be able to get those flanks off no problem because he can hear them and they can't hear him. Now, the real question is, would Ubisoft ever decide to add in this silent ninja operator? It's kind of hard to tell. The one thing that I don't really like about it is that while it's very interesting, it's very unique compared to what we've gotten in other operators recently, the one thing I don't like about it is that he's completely selfish. Once again, you look at Buck, you look at Blackbeard, it seems like every single time a new offensive operator is added into Rainbow Six Siege, it's always something that only benefits the player who's using him. And while I realize it's got to be very challenging to come up with a new gadget that benefits everyone on the offensive team or provides some sort of supports, I would hope that we wouldn't get another offensive operator that is just about getting kills. At the end of the day, this silent ninja operator would just simply be about ghosting around the map, maybe providing some sort of intelligence, but at the end of the day, he's about sneaking around, being by his lonesome, and killing the enemy all by himself. I would hope that they would kind of step away from that lone killer mentality and provide more team-oriented gadgets. But of course, that is just me. Let me know what you guys think about this guy, though. Clearly, a lot of people like the idea of having a silent operator added into the game because I get this question constantly for Sunday Mailbox. And so, do you think that this would be a nice addition to the game? Do you think it'd be underpowered, overpowered? Give me your guys' thoughts down below. The next question comes from Tommy, and it is, aren't you worried that with the bipods in Battlefield 1, it's going to have a lot of campers in the little windows just like in Call of Duty? Alright, I'll be completely honest, this criticism is completely ridiculous. Literally the next question when I was reading for Sunday Mailbox was someone complaining, hey, do you think too many people are running and gunning with submachine guns in Battlefield 1 just like in Call of Duty? What? You can't have it both ways. You can't have people running around like in COD or people on defense. I mean, it's offense and defense. You're describing aspects of pretty much every first-person shooter out there. Every shooter has people either running around, going from objective to objective, or around the objective playing defense. That does not make it Call of Duty. That makes it a first-person shooter. What makes Battlefield Battlefield is more than that. It's the large-scale epic warfare. It's the multitude of different vehicles, air and ground. You've got different classes. You got the teamwork. You got the destruction. That is the essence of what makes Battlefield Battlefield. Yeah, it's going to share similarities with Call of Duty because they are first-person shooters. You can't get around that point, but the criticism that people are camping or running around is mind-blowing. We have literally heard this criticism every single time a new Battlefield game has come out. I'm not even joking. I've been doing this for a really long time now. I've been making videos all the way back from Bad Company 2, and when people first saw Battlefield 3, this was literally what they were saying. And while I know I'm getting a little animated here, it's probably just because I'm just sick and tired of hearing this complaint because you're describing an element of a first-person shooter. You would not say that Bastion from Overwatch is a Call of Duty character because he camps. His entire design is around camping in one area and shooting people that round the corner. Would you say that Overwatch is Call of Duty? Of course you wouldn't. I mean, maybe some would, but like in reality, they're completely different games. And so no, I'm not worried about this at all. I actually like the fact that they're adding in different roles and different play styles in Battlefield 1. I may make a video about this because there are so many things changing with this game. There are so many deviations with all the classes and all the different weapons that is mixing things up. I like that you're gonna have to hunker down with the support weapons and provide cover fire. You didn't really need to do that in past Battlefield games, and so I think that's gonna mix things up, and I don't think that that is a bad thing. The next question comes from Dayton, and it is, what do you think about having Doc's stim pistol being able to heal living teammates? There's not many times you get to revive a down teammates. For the longest time, I did not think this was necessary. I thought Doc was a great operator. When the game first released, I constantly played as this guy because while he may not have provided as much benefit as someone like Rook, for example, who just gives everyone the benefit at the beginning of the round, he could be a game changer. I love reviving my teammates, I love reviving myself, but now that Ubisoft has been changing things with patches over the last couple of months, now that they've added in new operators, you hardly ever see Doc on the defensive team. Most people would rather opt to use Valkyrie or Frost or use Rook and just completely ignore Doc now because, yeah, he doesn't really get a chance to use his gadget very often. I also don't think that this would make him completely overpowered and one of the best defending operators in the game. This would just be more of a quality of life improvements. Most people are gonna die to headshots regardless, and so, yeah, it's nice that you're able to give them health back, but in most situations, if the enemy knows what they're doing, they're just gonna land that headshot, and that health that you just provided to your teammate is practically useless. It does mix things up though. If you have a team that's full of really heavily armored operators, you've got Tachanka, you've got Rook, you've got a lot of fat operators on your team, this could actually be a really cool setup. You're constantly healing them, they're able to soak up a lot of damage, and as long as the enemy isn't getting headshots, which may not happen very often, but as long as they don't have that accuracy, I could see those combos being very, very effective. And so unless I'm missing something, and this would actually make him overpowered, maybe there's some aspect and some facet of this issue that I'm just not understanding, I think this would be a great quality of life improvements. It would allow him to use his gadget more often, it would allow him to actually provide more of that supportive role, and so I think this would be a nice step in the right direction for Doc. The next question comes from Nicholas, and it is, are the trenches in Battlefield 1 going to play a big part in the game, and will it impact your gameplay? I would be very surprised if there was a lot of maps that centered around trench combat. I'm assuming there's gonna be a couple, and we already get a glimpse of that on the map that we're playing during the alpha, but I don't think that DICE is really going to pigeonhole themselves down into creating maps that center around everyone just being in trenches the entire time. I know this might sound a little counterintuitive because World War I was all about trench warfare, or a large part of it, but this is a Battlefield game that we're talking about. Battlefield is usually known for its large epic warfare, run around from objective to objective in towns and things of that nature, and you just don't really get that when everyone's hunkered down in trenches. I do know that it's gonna be in the game because that would be a shame if it wasn't, but I don't think it's gonna be a central role in Battlefield 1. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.